There is often this perception that a lot of topics have the same perception and have the same perceived impact across the world. I want to show you that that's not true, and I wanted to show you that via looking, for example, at climate change. Climate change has been a very big topic across the world over the past few years and decades, and it's something that in many parts of the West is considered to be common knowledge. What do I mean with that? The general public would think that climate change is a given, that climate change is happening, and that everyone should care quite extensively about it. Now, in Southeast Asia and in Asia, it's not exactly like that. So let's look together at a research published by Fulcrum.com, where they ran a poll for across a number of dimensions in ASEAN, right? So that means Southeast Asia. So you see that this company, or rather this think tank, ran a few polls, as I was saying. Now, the first one is about the impact of national governments, right? So you see here they interviewed a number of countries, I believe about 10 plus, and you see that the vast majority of people polled see national governments as having or as playing the biggest role when it comes to tackling climate change. Right? You see that it goes from a high of Singapore with 91.4%, and it comes all the way down to 67% for Laos. Now, what this tells you is that to a certain extent, the populations of Southeast Asia see the governments as playing a very important role in fact in tackling climate change. What this also tells you, and let's look at this side of the chart, is that individuals and civil society organizations do not play such an important role. So the majority of people in Southeast Asia will probably say that, look, climate change is happening or may not be happening, but it concerns me only to a minor extent. I cannot really impact it. I cannot really play a role in tackling climate change. So I have to rely on national governments or on bigger entities which have the power to enact policies, to follow up on those and ultimately to have a lasting impact on climate change. Anecdotally, you see this everywhere in Southeast Asia. So people are not really concerned, just to give you a quick example, on plastic usage. People are quite liberal in the ways they use, for example, plastic bags when it comes to going to the supermarket, shopping, etc. Right? So I would say that this perception, it's or whatever we see here in the poll is actually also substantiated from what you see anecdotally walking the streets of any city in Southeast Asia. So again, most of the people in Europe, in the US, will probably think that everyone needs to play their part as individuals in tackling climate change. Well, Southeast Asians don't think it that way, right? So let's look at another example. So Fulcrum.sg again polled the government, or rather polled people on the impact of government policies in tackling climate change, right? So we just said that the majority of people think that the government plays a major role in addressing this. And in this poll specifically, people are asked how they're going about tackling climate change. And you see that the majority of people think that the governments are doing, I would say, enough. Why do I say that? Because you see that the dark blue color chart bars shows you that most people respond that my government is aware of the threats, but does not allocate sufficient resources to address them, right? So the governments could do better, but still people think that governments are aware of the threat, right? They just need to double down on the efforts. Something else that's quite interesting is this. Yeah. So, and you see I think this title here summarizes it quite well. Southeast Asians are passive participants in the green transformation journey. So you see that the vast majority of people say that I follow news and share information about climate change. That's it, right? So I'm not saying that it's the same in every country. Again, if you take, for example, Singapore, a lot of people feel like they are quite bought into climate change. They're taking action every day in Singapore, in the Philippines, in Vietnam. People feel like they're participating and adopting more sustainable lifestyles. You see number two in options and encouraging others to do so. So basically, people are being evangelists of tackling climate change. So I guess what I'm trying to tell you is that the perception you may have that everyone follows the same policies across the world, that everyone has one view on the challenges that our societies are faces, that's probably wrong, right? That view is not substantiated by facts. People, by and large, are trying to get by. Not everyone is impacted by the same situation in exactly the same fashion. And as we saw, for example, in Southeast Asia, climate change is not perceived as a massive element that needs to be tackled by everyday people. So I hope what I'm trying to tell you is clear. Let me know what you think of this.